Hello, Internet. Welcome to King Game Reviews. In this episode, I'll be reviewing the Sega Genesis classic Alex Kidd and the Enchanted Castle. Released in 1989, this is, I believe, Alex Kidd's only appearance on the Sega Genesis. Alex Kidd was Sega's mascot before Sonic the Hedgehog, mainly on the Sega's Master System. This game is a fairly typical 2D side-scroller with a few changes to make it, unique apart from Nintendo's Mario at the time. One of the main differences is the money you collect you can actually spend on power-ups you can buy in little stores, but you don't just buy them, you wager the money on a rock, paper, scissors game with the shop owners, which seems very strange. It really just slows down the game since there's only a 33% chance you lose, since on a tie you just play again. So, it seems to just slow down the game. The items range from totally useless, like the pogo stick, to overpowered, such as the very first door 2 seconds into the game you can buy this power amulet thing. Now, what is it called? Let me look at the instruction manual. You can buy the power bracelet. And this means when you attack, instead of just punching or kicking, you shoot out a wave of energy. Which brings me to Alex Kidd's attacks. You run and jump like Mario, but you can also punch. The punch is hard to get used to since it has very close range and does not come out instantly. The first couple frames, it does not count as attacking, so if an enemy touches you during that, you die. So you have to wait until your fist comes all the way out, and then it kills an enemy. Also, when you jump, as soon as you release the jump button in midair, Alex Kidd will kick. Which, I wish they would just map that to a normal attack button, since a lot of the time I'll just be trying to do a jump, and I'll release the kick button, and I'll kick the platform I want to land on and break it, which is very irritating. And the kick is even harder to hit things with, because sometimes they'll kill the enemy you kick, and other times you'll just die. So I try not to depend on that at all. The controls in Alex Kidd are a little, slippery, I guess. Like, you're really twitchy. You just tap the button, you move really fast. Which makes platforming, especially on the really small platforms, a little hard because you'll just slip off the edge and then usually die. The levels in the game are pretty varied to go all over the world, from a town to the desert to underwater to the castle, forest, pyramid, stuff like that. But they're pretty standard locations. So, they are varied, but the locations are not creative. The levels themselves, the design, seems fairly random. Like, there's not a flow like in the Mario or Sonic games. It's just kind of a bunch of platforms placed everywhere. And sometimes they make shapes or pictures in the sky. I don't know. It's kind of not the best aspect of these games. The graphics are bright and colorful, but the design is kind of generic. The enemies you'll fight like, well, I guess, I don't know, the enemies are varied, but the graphics themselves seem little cartoony, I guess, but they are definitely not the best the Genesis has to offer. But this is a early Genesis release, so I suppose that's to be expected. Some of the enemies you fight in this game, you fight cars and airplanes, dung beetles, scorpions, mummies, a guy wearing a Jason mask and an axe, bees, monkeys, fish, stuff like that. I don't know, nothing too exciting, but I mean, they're all silly looking little cartoon creatures. Enemies are all okay, I guess, but they are all equally difficult to kill because of your hard to use attack. This game is pretty easy at the beginning, and then once you get to about the forest level, it starts getting a lot harder. The forest, the 2 mountain levels are pretty difficult, like once you get to know them, and the end is pretty hard. But it's all based on memorization, because everything's in the exact same spot every single time. So once you'll die a few times in an area, but then you'll learn where everything is, and you can just fly past that part. So it's all about memorization. I'd never played it when it was new. I picked it up for a couple $, at the store about a year ago or so, and I'll pick up and play it every once in a while. And the couple times I played this game, I did not get it, and I did not get very far. And then, just doing this review, I picked up and played it for about an hour or so, and I got to the last level. So you just have to put in your time, and you'll get through it. It's a pretty short game. You can get to the last level in probably 15-20 minutes if you just fly through the levels. But I mean, that's true for any of these old platformer type games. Once you know what you're doing, you can fly through them. Which, I mean, it makes it fun, so you can go back and play through it. You don't have to. It's not a huge time commitment like today's games. The music in this game is kind of weird. I mean, the normal level songs are okay. Nothing really memorable like, Mario or Sonic or anything, but that's why no one plays Alex Kidd anymore, because everything in this game just felt, okay. That's why Sega had to create Sonic, something more memorable. Because Alex Kidd could not compete with Mario at all. Music, I think, the best is when you're flying in the little man-powered helicopter mobile thing. That is pretty funny. See, there's boss battles occasionally at the end of levels, but these quote-unquote boss battles, again, are just a match of rock, paper, scissors, or Jonkin, as this game calls it. And there's an amulet power you can use. If you use it before you get to the boss, you'll see what they're going to use. So you just have to counter it and win. Otherwise, it's just, basically random if you win or not. But unlike the stores, where if you lose, you just lose the money, on these boss battles, if you lose a game of rock, paper, scissors, you die. And you have to restart from either the beginning of the level or a checkpoint. So that's pretty terrible. I wish they would have had, that part is just based on luck, so I wish they would have done something different. So you try not to fight it. That's basically it. This game's pretty straightforward. If you've played any, 2D side-scroller before, you'll instantly get this game. doesn't do too much new. It is trickier than some since the cheap attacks, cheap deaths. A lot of cheap deaths when you're trying to fight an enemy. If you walk up to a block that you can break, if you're touching it, you'll send it shooting forward, so you should try to use that to attack enemies instead of just punching them head on. You can duck and punch, and you can crawl around on the ground, which is sometimes helpful. I usually try to duck and punch whenever I punch. I don't think it makes any difference, but I guess it's all those old side-scrolling days where you always jump and or duck and shoot, so I try to duck and punch. Some enemies in some blocks you have to duck to punch. There's also secret areas in this game. Sometimes when you'll jump, you'll be doing your jump kick. If you land on the ground doing that, you'll break a block. And you can go to secret little underground areas that have, treasure, but also filled with enemies. So, just like the world above. There's also chests in the game. The red and yellow ones have gold inside, which you can use in stores. They either have a bag of 100 gold or, I think 4 or 5 coins will fly out for 10 gold each. Or the harder to get gray and gold chests will either have an item, such as an extra life or an amulet or something in it, or a bunch of bombs will shoot out and kill you if you hit them. So sometimes they're hard to get to and not even worth getting because they kill you anyway. This game, it's cheap, easy to find. I always see this game for a couple bucks at the local stores. I got mine complete in box, with the manual and everything for definitely less than $5. I don't really remember offhand, but I remember playing, I have a couple of them for the Sega Master System, and I figured I'd pick it up. It's okay. I mean, you can definitely do a lot worse for the Sega Genesis. But you can do better. But if you've played all the top tier games like Sonic the Hedgehog games and Rocket Knight Adventures, and you want to see some early Sega platformers from the Master System era. This one made it to the Genesis, but it's basically the same type of game. But you give it a shot. I think it's also on the Sega or Sonic's Ultimate Genesis collection, and probably some of the other collections. I'm not positive on that, but I mean, you can find this game places. It might be on the Wii or Virtual Console. I'm not sure. I know some of the Alex Kidd games are on there, but I'm not sure about this one. But this game's okay. You should try it. It's kind of weird, goofy. thanks for watching the review, and I will see you next time.